the trades that I have heard floated to me are like where they would trade Jay Crowder for multiple players, some of them younger. And they're just maybe not in theory as good as Jay Crowder, although maybe the combination of those two players that they might ask for would help, but I don't know. It's a hard trade. Devin Booker last night, this is according to Dane Moore, who covers the Timberwolves, late in the game when they were finishing off an evisceration of the Timberwolves. Devin Booker yelled at the Wolves bench, quote, "We play team basketball. We share the ball." Which
it's
is,
very hard not to love Devin Booker and how he approaches everything. I'll say that.
He just
he chirps a lot. He does chirp a lot. It's entertaining. This
is
what I mean. He's
harsh, fun on every level.
Chirping right here.
I just like how he handles his business. He's kind of like he's louder. He's a little bit more active in that regard than Bridges. But the point is, he was taking some shots at the Wolves, and Wolves
not inaccurately.
Yeah, Wolves have been one of the most disappointing teams. They're 5-7, and they've played almost all their games at home. Out of these first 12 games, they played 9 of them at home.
I do think, though, we have to acknowledge, like, it was outstanding sportsmanship by D'Angelo Russell. You know, his tribute to Chris Paul. Hey, Chris, you're hurt. You can't play. I'm going to sit out this possession in tribute to you. We won't have a point guard on the floor either. That was really sweet. And then the Wolves went with that box and none defense. I mean, that was just a great moment.
Yeah. So what he's referring to, if you didn't see it, against the Suns, the Wolves had a free throw, and D'Angelo thought he was going in for the shooter, I think, but he wasn't. The guy who he was going in for was Taurean Prince, who had already sat down, and he didn't go in. And the Wolves played like a possession with only 4 defenders. Now, Russell came running into the game. Like, are you allowed to run into the game from the sideline?
I don't know. Also, if we're being real honest, D'Angelo Russell sitting at the scorer's table, confused, versus D'Angelo Russell in the game, the defensive impact is not that different.
Oh, dear.
Well, look, I suppose it could have happened. It just was like a mistake. But considering the way the Wolves have played, it's being used as indicative of them being in the clouds.
Well, they've had a lot of these moments. They've had a lot of little trending moments on Twitter, little clips that trended. None of them are good. You know, the Anthony Edwards standing with his hands on his hips, just, basically all he might as well take out a billboard and say, "I'm bored because I don't have the ball."
Just to be clear, in case people didn't see it, he had his hands on his hips and stood on the wing for an entire offensive possession and just watched the other guys on the court.
In a late game after timeout play where they needed a basket.
Yeah, and I talked to a coach who played them recently, and they mentioned, like, as much as obviously they're still trying to figure out spacing and some X's and O's things with Gobert and Towns, and Ant has made it clear, it's so clogged up in there and all that sort of stuff. They're still trying to figure all that out. But this coach said their biggest problems are interpersonal, and he mentioned, like, hey, when we were switching everything and they would dump the ball down to Cat because there's a guard on him, he basically said Ant checked out. Like, Ant, this is the extreme version of Ant checking out, like making sure everybody in the world knew he was checked out. But he said that's something that's been happening. It's a team that lacks leadership. It's a team that lacks maturity, and they better grow up fast and find a direction.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.